Hi there, this is Jamie Merkel, owner and head coach over at Gold's Gym Singapore on Frankel Avenue. Today's video is building on the last video. So if you think about the last video I was doing, which was building strength using common household items, just a little bit about the reasoning behind that. Now, what we are doing when we do those types of exercises using an external resistance is building our absolute strength. Now, our absolute strength basically means is the amount of weight our body can lift. Now, absolute strength is very important when it comes to performance because any effort other than your maximal is considered a submaximal, and B becomes easier as your absolute strength increases. So what that means is, in layman's terms, is that the stronger you are, the easier other exercises becomes. It builds your exercise capacity. And that's very important when you are starting off on a fitness journey or starting off to train for an event, because your absolute capacity will ultimately determine your performance during and subsequently moving forward. So that's the idea behind that. So using all the exercises, some of them that were key, which was the suitcase squat to overhead press, definitely that single leg asymmetrical stand-up exercise like these help to build the strength in your legs, in your core. They help work on your balance, and interspersing it with some upper body exercises just to make sure that between your upper and lower body you have some symmetry and some development. Now, as you are working on those first exercises and building up your absolute strength, and you feel like that you are getting stronger, we're going to move to the second part, which is more about building your strength and conditioning simultaneously. And for this, we're just going to use body weight because we don't need to necessarily weight these. You can if you like, but it's not absolutely necessary because this format is different in that we are going to use a circuit. Now, a circuit is a very simple exercise. We're going to just string together, in this case, we're going to string together 6 exercises. And we're going to do the exercises one after another. So we're not going to take a break. We're just going to move directly, what we call the transitional rest period, between one exercise and the other. At the end of the 6 exercises, you then take a 1 minute to 2 minute rest, depending on how you feel. Now, this is going to challenge your strength, your absolute strength that you built by following the first program. And then it's going to add a conditioning element because when we take away the rest periods, it means our cardiovascular system has to work harder to maintain the exercise. And which is important when you're running because obviously running and walking is a cardiovascular exercise. But we're going to still reinforce the strength and build a bit more on the cardiovascular. Okay, if that makes sense to you, well, very good. If that doesn't make sense to you, then please feel free to leave a comment under the video, and we will definitely try to answer all your questions when it comes to fitness and exercise. So let's get started today with workout 2, strength and conditioning. So as a circuit, we're going to do 6 exercises. Of course, we're going to start off with a body weight squat. We will then transition to a push-up. We will then go to an alternating forward lunge, then go to shoulder taps, then single leg deadlifts, and then finish that off with high knees. Now, in terms of reps, it's really up to you. I recommend starting off with a reasonable target of 10 reps per exercise. In the case of single leg exercises or single side exercises, only 5 reps a side for a total of 10 reps. And go through it that way first. Now, if you find that too difficult, then you can lower the reps to say 8 and see if you can complete it on 8 reps or 4 per side for singles. If you find it too easy, then you can increase it to 12 or 15 reps or 16 reps in order to keep it even. Now, what this is an example of is one of the most, and if not the most, important part of exercise and training is this idea of progressive overload. Now, progressive overload means that as we exercise, our body adapts. So, and once our body adapts, it stops getting any more fit. Now I'll give you an example. Let's just say you are capable and you run a 5K every day, and you only ever run that 5K. Now if you keep running that 5K, do you think you get more fit or do you stay the same? The truth is you actually stay the same. Once your body adapts to the minimum requirements for reaching that 10K, or that 5K, your body starts adapting. It's not being challenged anymore. It's not being overloaded. It's overload that drives progression. So when you're doing exercises, even at home, you have to think about increasing the intensity. This intensity increase will cause further adaptations, and so you will get better, faster, stronger, and so forth. So that's why we always start with what we can do, and then we start to build on either reps, or sets. So for example, we're going to do 3 sets of, we'll do the circuit 3 times, so that would be 3 sets of the circuit. And if that's too easy, then you can do 4 sets of the circuit or 5 sets of the circuit, in addition to adding more reps per exercise. So this is ways to make sure that we're continuously progressing and driving our body to adapt further, to become more fit, to become stronger, to become faster, so on. All right? So without any other technical explanations, let's move on to today's workout. So today's workout, and you can feel free to do this every day, every other day, will be the 6 exercises. So I'm just gonna, first of all, I'm gonna demonstrate the exercises one by one and give you some key pointers on how to do them. And then after that, I'll run through the program as it should be once with you. And then you can feel free to continue and do as many sets as you like. All right? So the first exercise we're gonna do is the body weight squat. Now I believe I keep going back to this. And if you've been following along any of my videos, it always starts off with a squat. Why? Because the squat is possibly, and most definitely, actually in my opinion, the most important exercise you can do in a gym or at home. You know, it's building your hips are your primary movers of your body. It connects your upper and your lower body. And strength, flexibility, and endurance in your hips is a very functional exercise. All right, so just a few pointers if you don't remember. So hopefully you've kind of warmed up, you've shaken it out. Always do a little bit of a warm up. You can get your heart rate going and stuff like that. I'm not going to again go through 2 warm ups because to me I would consider the circuit a warm up. So let's go. So body weight squat. The key points of a squat: A, your heels are aligned under your shoulders. So if you were to draw a straight line down from your shoulder, it should reach your heels. So you're standing in a nice straight line, right? From there, not toes forward. We want actually our toes to point out a bit. Now, anywhere up to 30 degrees is fine, right? Now you can do a little bit less, a little bit, but don't do any more than about 30 degrees. So there, that's about 30 degrees. Once you've set your feet, then there's a few key parts about the movement you need to realize. The first one is that when we are going to squat, maybe it looks better from the side, is once I'm in the position, a lot of people, when I test them on squatting, is that they'll start to do this, right? They'll start with this, what we call a knees forward position, because you bend the knees first. But squatting is not a knee exercise. Squatting is a hip exercise. So the correct start is to start back with the hips. Okay, so don't start with the knees like this. This is putting a lot of pressure on your knees that you don't need to put there. You want to start by sitting back. Okay. Now you can use your arms out in front for balance. It does make it a lot easier, and I highly recommend using this. Right. You can also just from there just turn your arms in. Okay, so your thumbs are pointing to each other. Okay, so that's the start position. Now, once you've started on the hips, the next thing you need to do is really start to point out the knees. Now, if you squat with me in the gym, I'll always be telling you knees out. You want your knees to track over your toes, right? So that they're in line with your toes. So when you come down, you start with the hips and then you push those knees apart, right? So that your hips can sink between your thighs. and then you get to the bottom position and you stand up. So back, down, and stand up. Okay, back, down, stand up. Notice my chest is up, my back is straight, it never moves. I go back with the hips, I put the knees out. This leaves a lot of space for me to drop down to full depth, and up, and down, and up, and down, and up. All right, so that's very, very key. Obviously, the key points, your chest is up, your back is straight, your knees are out, and you just drop down as low as you can. Now you'll find when your knees are up that you can actually get down to full depth, being that your butt will be below your knees, which will give the most muscle mass being used in the exercise. So that's the first one, the bodyweight squat. How to make it easier? If it's too difficult to do a full bodyweight squat, meaning you're lacking flexibility in, say, your adductors or your glutes or your hamstrings, you can actually just place a chair or a stool and just practice that position and sit down and then stand up. Okay? And that's one way to make it a little bit easier. And if you feel like you're going to fall over, it might make it feel a little bit safer. The second exercise is a push-up. Now, why a push-up? Push-up is another foundational exercise because it is a forward push with your chest, using your chest and shoulders. Now, the push-up requires the prone position. We will use that here. And all we're going to do is place our hands about shoulder width apart. And we want to make sure that our wrist bones, our hands, are lying straight up to our shoulders, right? From there, we just put our feet back, and we end up in this very stable position at the top. From there, we're just going to drop down. Now, notice a couple of things. My elbows go back. My elbows don't go out. They come back. All right? So you're gonna push, push, push. Right? Then, all right, let me do that again. And push, and push. Okay? And those are push-ups. If that's too hard, and for many people it is, you can actually start off on your knees. So go on your knees, cross your feet behind you, get back into that position where you have that nice straight line between your shoulders and your hands, and drop down into the push-up position, lifting your feet up. So you get that nice, it makes it a little bit easier. Right, so that's the push-up. Push-ups are great, where the squat's great for the legs and the hips. The push-up is great for the triceps, the chest, and the front of your shoulder, or the anterior deltoid. So after we've done some push-ups, we're going to go back to the bottom, and we're going to go to an alternating forward lunge. Now, a forward lunge is a very simple exercise where we're just going to step forward with one leg and drop into a lunge position. So easiest to demonstrate is you drop down into a lunge position. Now, a few key points about the lunge position is notice I have a 90-degree angle on my front leg and a 90-degree angle on my back leg. And then I'm going to push up. Then I just alternate legs and push up. What you do not want to do is get into this knee forward position again. See, if I don't take a big enough step, I don't rock forward so my knee goes over my toes. I always want to maintain that. So it's not so much forward like that as it is forward and down. So always drop the hips straight down, getting that nice 90-degree, okay? And you just alternate, so you go from right to left. So you go right, right, and so on and so forth. So it's like stepping. So this obviously gives you a little bit of lateral stability. Of course, when you're running and walking, you're always operating on one leg at a time. So this helps build some of that strength and endurance into those movements. The next one will be, again, another mid-body, upper body, will be a shoulder tap. And to make it easier, we've done it into the push-up position. And you can do it both with the feet or the knee version. And all we're going to do is, the top of the push-up position is actually called a full plank. Now, many of you are familiar with the plank down on your elbows, but a full plank is actually holding the top of the push-up position. So a shoulder touch is going to use the full plank position. So you can use it from the feet to the knees. So if you're doing it from the knees, it would be here. And all you're going to do is, once you are stable, is you're going to reach up and touch the opposite shoulder. So you're going to go 1, right? If that's too easy on your knees, then you do it from the full position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is really going to activate your core. And because you lift one hand up, it's going to make it, again, a lateral movement, helping to engage your obliques and other stabilizers in your midsection. After we've done the shoulder taps, we're going to move to a single leg deadlift using our body weight. Now a deadlift is very simply, the core of a deadlift is picking something up, okay, from the ground. So it's a up motion, all right? When we're doing it with body weight, it's obviously a little bit different, but it's the same core idea is that we are going to bend down with our hands very close to our feet, and we're going to stand up. And we're going to do this on a single leg. And you're going to stand, and you're going to go down and up. And that's going to engage the glute and hamstring of the leg that is still on the ground. So you go down, up. It's also helping to build your balance. You want to make sure you're extending that leg behind you like that and feeling a good stretch here in that hamstring. So down and up, down and up. Now you probably notice I'm touching the wall, which is absolutely okay if you cannot get your balance. Hopefully, eventually you then get into the point where you are balancing, right? So down and up. So try to keep your leg as straight as possible. And down and up, okay? So that's a single leg deadlift. It's one of the more harder body weight exercises in terms of balance and proprioception. The last thing we're gonna do is to just kick up our cardio a little bit, if you haven't already. And we're just gonna do a running in squat with high knees. And the running in squat with high knees, again, is a lower body exercise. So all we're gonna do, excuse me, is run in place and hold our hands out in front of us and touch our knees to our hands, okay? So it looks like that. Okay, so on, just like that. So you just want to make sure your knees, or your hands are touching your knees, and you can lower your hands to make it easier. And just do that as fast as you can for a total of 10, a count of 10. And that will be all the exercises. Right? So these are really meant to build strength and endurance in your lower body, with a little bit of upper body and core strength to kind of help keep it balanced. Now, one thing a lot of runners do, and I see people who train running a lot, is they focus excessively on their lower body, right? And because running itself is a lower body, mostly movement. But your core and your upper body is actually working to support that, you know, so good spinal mechanics, everything really makes it much more safe to run. Many people run with really, really bad form, but that, unfortunately, is a lesson for another time. So let's, if you guys remember now, all the exercises that we went through, now all we want to do is go and put it together in the circuit. So let me demonstrate the circuit for you. So I'm going to do all 6 of those exercises, one after another. I'm not going to stop and rest, okay? And I will do it for a count of 10, all right? So if you're ready to go, you can do this along with me, or you can just kind of watch and see how this works, and we'll see it at the end again, right? Okay, so, ready? I'm gonna do it facing forward, so you can see my happy, smiling face. And we're gonna start off with the squats, so 10 squats. Ready? And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Break to a push-up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then into that alternating forward lunge. So, whoops, sorry, my bad. 1. I'm only going to do 5 aside. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, from there, directly to the shoulder touch, back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Recover up again. From there, single leg deadlifts, okay? Nice and stable, ready to go. 1, feeling that nice stretch. 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And last thing, the running with the high knees. Ready? Just for a count of 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's it, and rest. So now I can rest 1 minute, I can rest 2 minutes. Hey, if that was really tough, I can go ahead and rest for 5 minutes. The thing is I will stop, I will get my breath. You can see I'm a little bit out of breath. And then once I've recovered a little bit, I am going to do this circuit again. So this means that I'm alternating between a period of very high intensity, meaning a high heart rate, a lot of effort, and a period of very low intensity, which is the rest right now, which technically makes it a high intensity interval training, okay? So just remember, very quick 6 body weight exercises, one after another. You see the total time to do 1 set is probably less than 2 minutes. Rest a minute, do it again. Rest a minute, do it again. And you'll see that that will really help not only your conditioning, but also your strength, all right? That's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And next video coming up, well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's going to be a little bit more advanced conditioning. So thank you very much for joining. Happy working out, and we'll see you at the Circuit Breaker Virtual Run 2020. My name's Jamie. Have a great day. Bye-bye.